So today we're going to be going over, like I said, identifying target audiences, creating client personas, and utilizing big data. I have this little section over here highlighted, explain the importance of audience targeting in social media marketing, describe the targeting process in social media marketing and using big data. And then we're going to be discussing persona development cycles as part of the targeting process. I have this highlighted because in social media marketing, this is a process that you have to consistently develop. You don't just create a persona. You don't just create demographics like, 18 to 45 men and women living in Irvine and then walk away. They are constantly evolving. You're going to constantly go back to make sure that you're staying relevant to the right people. And it affects all aspects of the business, from a startup raising funds, a skincare manufacturing plant trying to manage trying to calculate the quantity of a product to generate, a plumbing company extending into a new territory, a humanitarian fundraiser, getting training on how to approach potential donors, right? All of this is going to be important. So here's this basic outline. So many teams actually ignore this process because it can be so daunting. They think that they know, but actually never confirm who their audience is, or the company doesn't do it because an employee is just so great at it. They're so magnificent. They know exactly how to do, what to do, when to do it, and how to say it. But then that employee quits, and you lose all of that knowledge. Teams also have a hard time doing this organically. And this is why many marketers actually really love data, right? Because even the ones that are absolutely hate statistics, hate numbers, don't want to do even addition, because they are out there, they still love this because the data doesn't lie. The numbers don't lie. They can inform all of the decisions that you make. So right person, right content, at the right place, in the right format, and in the right language, and on the right device. So when I talk about the right person, the most common characteristic marketers use to identify the profile target markets is those demographics, those geographics, and lifestyle / psychographics. Identifying and segmenting the target market is key to social media activity, because even your call to action may change depending on who you're talking to, where they are in the sales funnel, right? Even what time of day may have a big impact. And rarely does the marketer want to reach out to an entire market. All the market segments, you don't want to reach out to all of them with just one campaign or one message. Usually the campaign is designed for a single market segment. But as you can see, we have age, gender, education, occupation, income, family size, dwelling, city size, stage in life, geography. The psychographics are the opinions, interests, and activities. So the opinions of themselves, how do they view themselves? Are they a narcissist? And if they are, can you appeal to their ego? Social issues, politics, business, economics, education, sometimes how companies communicate. We talked about IVC and how they have many different people that they communicate with, and so they have different goals, right? Whether it's getting more enrollment or engaging with donors or communicating with parents. That can affect how you say what you say. If I'm IVC and I'm targeting a parent who has never gone to college, I'm going to use different words to encourage them to encourage their student to go to college, right? Or maybe even I'm trying to say like, hey, why don't you go to college with your kid? They'll totally love that. Versus if I'm talking to a parent who already has their education, they're not wanting to go back, I may use slightly different call to actions. I may use slightly different language, right? So then there's also products, future, culture, all of that. Interests, that can be family, home, job, community, recreation, like sports, fashion, food, media, achievements. And then activities, right? Where do they work? Hobbies, social events, vacation, entertainment, club memberships, the community that they hang out in, where do they shop, and sports. How did I read all of that out loud? So that we can get over here to beware the stereotypes and assumptions. So there's the demographic discrimination, assumptions that those people wouldn't do that, right? And then there's also psychographic limitations and assumptions. So you have to be aware of falling prey to the stereotypes and assumptions, and make sure that you aren't just jumping in. And even the statistics, the data that you receive, may also reflect your assumptions in the negative way. So when AI was becoming this thing and people were going on and saying, oh, show me a doctor. Who do you think AI, show me a picture of a doctor. What did ChatGPT create? What did the AI platforms create? Okay, yeah. White male doctor in his like 50s, 60s. So an older white man in a lab coat, usually standing in front of. What happened when, let's say, you go in and you say parent at a park? What are you going to see? A woman. And the thing is that AI was being fed from their data set. It wasn't, they didn't have enough diversity teams to say, hey, wait, let's fix this, let's address this, let's make sure that we aren't ignoring the minority or the people that aren't communicating as loudly, right? So even though I'm saying like you have to be aware yourself, and then you have to double check what the data is showing you. Let's go over a few of these exercises, or I'm going to go over these examples. So my personal example goes to gaming. Like, who are the gamers? We, as a society, while this is still shifting, we as a society, the majority, think of gamers as male identifying teenagers to young adults in middle-class families, because they have to buy the console, they have to buy the games, they have to buy the skins, right? You may assume that their opinions of themselves are really going to be self-focused, right? It's going to be me, they're teenagers, your brains are still developing, right? Brands you may be into, maybe more masculine, right? You got the Nike or Adidas, and you can assume that they don't want to spend much time thinking about their future other than increasing their player stats. And they subscribe to the bro gamer culture, right? And this is me being, once again, saying all of these assumptions because I've been in a discussion where that was exactly what they were saying. I asked them, like, who is it? And this is exactly what I got, was that bro gamer culture. But then you take a look at me. I'm 32 years old. I'm married. I got a house. I got a toddler. I drive a hybrid CUV. I work as a consultant with my own business, but I'm also teaching. And I have a real passion for horses and a peculiar obsession with black holes, right? I shop at Costco. That's where like half of my clothes come from. But would you consider me a gamer? Would you create an ad with somebody that looks like me playing a game? Would you want to throw the toddler in the picture? Because maybe it's not her that's playing the game. Maybe she's playing the game for the toddler, right? Maybe I'm playing Paw Patrol because my toddler wants to play it, not because I love it, which I don't. But you know what I mean? The thing is that I play first-person shooters, which is a very male-dominated gaming genre, right? People assume that women are going to be playing Candy Crush, which is a video game, right? Or cutesy RPGs, which is perfectly fine, but it isn't, because I have the money, I have the income, I have the purchasing power to just go off and purchase this without asking anyone for permission, not asking anyone for money. While the teenager has to ask for a console for the birthday or Christmas or whatever. They have to ask to get money on their Fortnite so that they can buy new skins, right? They have lesser power. lesser buying power. And the thing is that me as an adult, as I got my own money, I actually bought more games than I could play because I was like, oh, I have money now. I can buy this. So here's another one that I'm going to go over. This is media gatekeeping. So when Barbie movie came out, we all are aware of Barbie movie, right? Who does not know about Barbie movie? Well, there's a movie about Barbies. And when that movie came out, you had an influx of men expressing interest in Barbie. I went to Comic-Con and there were so many Kens. And then I'm seeing everywhere the Kenough, I am Kenough, right? Shirts. We had a huge influx of men that were expressing interest, that were searching and getting into Barbie because of this movie, right? But let's reverse and go back in time. And Iron Man, the first Iron Man is being released. And I forgot what year it was. Thank you. I love that. And it was gate kept. The general male community, once again, this is stereotype. The general male community was like, oh, you're only interested in Iron Man and Marvels and comics because your husband or your son is into it. Like, you couldn't be into it. And so it was really hard for women because we had to prove our nerdiness. And even if we could cite all of the random facts and we had a perfect memory and knew everything about Iron Man, if we messed up one time in an interrogation, they'd be like, aha, you're not a fan, right? And they would be asked more questions. So there are stereotypes and assumptions, both within the, because Marvel didn't address it right away. Marvel had to address it because the next few movies were male superheroes, right? And then it took a while for us to get more female superheroes or get more screen time with the female superheroes. Yeah, and then they were spin-offs. They weren't the main, they were spin-offs. Then Captain Marvel was the one that was like official, like Black Widow, yeah, but Black Widow didn't do as good as Captain Marvel, so that's why. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, this is like media gatekeeping, even at the company level, right? Marvel didn't try to balance the male to female ratio. They leaned in to the male community, which is not wrong. It's just what happened. But they also missed an opportunity to engage the females or female identifying. Oh, before I play this, I love this commercial. It's a lamb ad. It's about eating lamb. So if you're a vegetarian or a vegan and you don't even like hearing this discussed, feel free to step out.
I feel like no one pays attention to Gen X. We've got so much to. What they do? Just not in my backyard. Hey, where's that guy? Don't look at us. We're literally perfect. 2 million people. Everyone gets a trophy. We were kids. You bought us the trophy. Stop gaslighting us. That's not what that means. Lamb? You know, when I was a kid, we had lamb. Lamb.
Alright, so they go on to eat lamb, but this is an. I love that whoever came up with this because they leaned into the stereotypes and assumptions in Australia, and they made lamb, which was becoming less and less popular in Australia. They made it sexy. They made it engaging. People were engaging. Professionals were writing columns and blogs about this. We're reviewing it and critiquing it, and how even every time they showed the Gen X never actually finished a sentence. They were always cut off because that's what Gen X feels. They feel like, as a whole a generation, they're kind of ignored. I think a really great example of those assumptions on who, but in the positive way. So we talked about the right person. Now we're going to talk about the right content. So let's say this woman is going to be our target audience, right? She's going to do workout, right? And then she randomly gets a ping on her phone. She quickly looks at it, and this is the ad that she sees, right? So tell me what's right and wrong about this ad. What questions are you going to ask yourself? Or questions that you feel like you need the answer to. So what's right, what's wrong, and do you have questions?
Looks like
Mm-hmm.
and we see on that very young, not going to show,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, like
Workout. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Love that. Does anyone else have anything else to add? Wrong content? Why do you say wrong content though? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Nice catch. Yes, he is getting a medal. So it's not just like a competition, it's like winning, right? It's not preparation, it's winning. Thing is that we don't know what she's doing. We don't know if she is doing her warm up so that she can go run a marathon. We don't know if she's a competitive like derby skater, right? Because we didn't answer these questions. So if we don't answer the questions, we can't send her the right ads. She's probably going to be like, like that doesn't pertain to me. Or this really could be an ad that, hits all of the right marks. Like she is training for a competition. She does want to win. She wants to see herself standing at that podium, all that. Um, but then the company might have missed the mark because they didn't accurately show the right gender or the right sport. So all of these things do matter, right? And then another thing is the location. Her workout was interrupted, right? Was she at the gym? If she was at the gym, was it appropriate for us to send that ad? Are we going to get more people to stop and complete an action when they're at the gym? If she's at home, I don't know about you, but I get easily distracted when I work out at home. So maybe doing the ad at home would be better, but how do you know when she's exercising? So all of these things marketers have to think about. And with social media, you'd have to make sure that what you're saying the right thing to the right person. So I apologize. I should have given a disclaimer, potentially a trigger warning, but here is a really great and horrible discussion about targeted advertising in a different light, right? Sometimes we see the ads and it's just perfect when we need it, as we need it. But to explain this, a father discovered that his teenage daughter was pregnant because Target started sending them pregnancy-related advertisements to their household based on the girl's internet activity. Okay? He was able to figure that out intuitively. And then let's also consider the situation where someone announces their pregnancy. They've made it past that 12-week mark, which is the traditional safe period, and they're excited and they're ready to go, and then something happens and they have a miscarriage. Despite that loss, that's typically not something that people announce publicly in that public way, right? They may message people individually. And so you pretty much have to completely unplug yourself from social media, because pregnancy is such a short window that the pregnancy and new baby market, they bombard people with ads. And I knew this intellectually, and then when I had my son, I was like, I'm drowning. And then I did a consulting work with a company who we actually crossed this line. So we were actually working with an influencer. We had sent her pregnancy overalls, and she was so cute, and she did a photo of it, and then she had a miscarriage. And she told us, and was trying to keep it like in a business way, like, oh, I'll return your money, or I'll return your overalls. First of all, we were like, no, keep it. Like, if you want to keep it or donate it or whatever, but you earned that money. And then we immediately took out her image from any of our ads, any of our social posts. We archived them because we didn't want to show her that reminder, right? Because she was super excited. Both scenarios that I showed, this was a Huffington Post ad. It was Facebook and Instagram's algorithm that were pushing these ads specifically. So Instagram and Facebook were being criticized for crossing a line. So these big companies are inadvertently causing harm to the users, right? But does anyone know about the Dove controversy? Most people don't. This ad was, well, let me show it to you, and let's see if you catch it. This is a GIF. So does anyone see the issue with this? Can anyone catch it? Okay. Let me give you some context. This ad was published right in the middle where the peak of Me Too and Black Lives Matters were overlapping. And there was also this sub-conversation between both, which was the pink tax. If you don't know about it, basically, if I go out and I want to buy a razor, and there's a black razor and a pink razor, more than likely I'm going to pay an extra $1 just to buy the pink razor. So it's called the pink tax. So on top of all of that, the criticism for this ad, right, was the fact that it was a black woman taking off her shirt to reveal a white woman. So behind every strong black woman is a white woman that allowed her to do that. And this that was the criticism. That was the reaction from the public, right? Dove thought that, oh, no matter what type of skin, no matter what type of background, no matter who you are, Dove's the right thing for you. We don't have sulfates, and wash your body with us. That was their intention, even by looking at the text, right? Get ready for a shower. But the question became, was like Dove not paying attention to what was happening around the time? Did they not have a diverse team that might have caught this? I don't think personally, this is my personal opinion, that the Dove team wasn't inherently racist. I really doubt that. I think that they just really missed the mark. And your reaction today was a little blank. Like, now that I've explained the context, do you still think that this ad would have the same reaction if it was posted today? Yeah. The timing was wrong. And there are so many examples of companies not being cognizant. The bombings in the Middle East were happening recently, and Zara had launched their campaign where they had wrapped the mannequins in white cloth. And so for Muslims, that is part of the burial traditions and mourning, all of that. You could tell that Zara, as a professional, I could tell that Zara had spent millions of dollars, had done a bunch of research, it wasn't an impulsive social media post. It was a planned out campaign internationally. But they should have stopped it because it felt insensitive. So that's even a more recent example of companies not using their social listening. So the right price. You have to compare your surroundings. You have to be present. It has to be the present time. Is it the present time that this is going to be relevant? Is it possible? Is it ideal? Even the right specific time. Like, I know this is repetitive, but let's say this woman receives an ad. She gets a ping from her phone. She's holding the crying baby. She's trying to cook dinner. The cat's going crazy, right? She's thinking about how she needs to buy clothes and thinking about how she needs gas for the car and own weight finance too. Should she receive an ad from a nanny company? But can she do anything about it? She's too busy. Yeah. So what I would recommend is, instead of saying hire a nanny today, I would be like, hey, let me show you a woman in this similar situation at 6 p.m. around the same time that most families are cooking dinner. And I may show how much more peaceful life can be, right? But if I'm just saying hire a nanny really loud, oh, sorry, I apologize, my voice can get loud. Hire a nanny right now, that's not going to be relevant for her. She's not going to pay attention to it. She's going to be frustrated because just reading it, she spent a mental point redirecting her mental energy to look at it. So you have to make sure that you're providing some type of value or some type of aspiration. Another example, let's say I have a coffee shop in New York where they have subways, right? And I'm standing and I know that I want to market to people to come to my coffee shop because I am really close to the subway. What time would I be doing my ads? Morning, right? Everyone agrees with that. All right, am I going to be doing morning on Eastern time zone or Pacific time zone? Eastern, right? Yeah, New York, yeah. Am I going to show an ad to somebody who's on the other side of town? No. So you need to catch people that are maybe in commute, right? That can easily go and get off and go to your coffee shop. So you're going to be really specific about what you're showing them, when you're showing it, and where you're showing it. So once they exit that circle of advertising, right, that walkability, once they leave it, they're not going to receive any ads, right? Another example was about traveling to a different country, right? We live in California, Southern California. We are 30 to 40 minutes from the beach, depending on which beach you're going to. Should we receive touristy ads trying to sell us to stay at the Hilton by the beach? No, you're not going to see that, but you're going to see ads to go on a cruise to France or go to New York, or I've even seen ads to visit a touristy location in Utah near my family. And I was like, oh, you know where my family lives. That was me just inferring that. Next is the format. This is what you have to think about. Are you going to do text? Are you going to do video? Are you going to just do an image? Are you going to do image and a text, a video and a text, image and a voiceover, video, text, voiceover, image, text, voiceover, video, text, voiceover, and end with an image? There are so many combinations, right? And then on top of all of that, right, you have to pay attention to the size, right? You can't just take an square Instagram post, a portrait post, and it's going to be different than Facebook, which is going to be different than X, which is going to be different than LinkedIn, which is going to be different than TikTok. All platforms are going to approach this differently, are going to have different criteria. So even with your one post about how today is a beautiful day and it's a little meme with the cat patting at a balloon, right? I'm going to have to crop it and edit it so many times depending on which platforms I'm using. And that's if you're managing all. I recommend just picking 2 platforms, especially when you yourself are doing your own marketing and promotions. So next is the right language. That makes sense, right? Fun little thing. My son goes to a preschool that teaches Mandarin. My husband is Chinese. We're going to China this fall. And so I've been trying to practice my few words, like, where's the bathroom? I need help. And so I turn to my son and I'm trying to say these words and he starts correcting me. He's like, no, mama. And he started like emphasizing which words. And then there was one time where I mispronounced you're welcome to my mother-in-law because they're encouraging me to practice with them. And I say you're welcome to her, but I said it wrong. And what I said was, what did she say? She was like, you just told me to leave or something like that. Like I mispronounced it. And it was like an obscure, it was still a word, but completely the wrong word. IKEA. It is so hard to find this example because I feel like they stripped it from the internet. Fartful, right? It means speedy in Swedish. Is this going to work in America? No, they needed to rebrand it. They needed to be cognizant of how words are translated. The right language. So Maria Navarro is an assistant professor, or was an assistant professor at UGA College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences. And she shared that the got milk translates to tienes leche in Spanish. But interestingly, the phrase in certain areas had meant, are you lactating? Because like certain phrases, certain ways that you say things mean different things. So when they had done this promotion, Got Milk, which is international, everyone knows about that. Oh, most Americans know about that. It failed. It failed horribly in this area, and all it took was somebody to be aware and not just doing a blind Google translation. This one is a really great one. It was the Chevy Nova. So they launched it in South America. But they were unaware. Chevy was unaware that in Spanish it meant like Nova, which is it won't go. So Chevy, it won't go. Chevy is an international company. They have international teams, yet nobody caught this, right? Next is the right device. Your phone, your tablet, your computer, your console. You have to almost ask questions like, are they going to be on a PC? Are they going to be on a Mac? Is it an Android? Is it an Apple? Are they on a web browser? Which web browser are they using? Are they using an app for communication like WhatsApp? Or are they using the native platform SMS, right? So that's your default texting for people that don't know. And then do they use their fingers to interact or do they use a mouse? And so many social media marketers only really include the device information when they're either excluding it, they're saying we're doing ads except for phones because the ad won't look right on a phone, tablets, computers, even a console. It's fine. So they will explicitly list what they won't be focusing on because the assumption is yes to all of this. That's the default is I'm assuming any social media ad that I do, any ad that I do, it's going to be like this. That is also important because once again, it goes back to the call to action. What do you want them to do? Do you want them to go to your website? Do you want them to follow you? Do you want them to take the QR code, take a picture of the QR code because the QR code's on their TV, not their phone? Never put QR code on social media, by the way. It's like, Yeah, well, you can't scan a QR code on your screen, right? You have to scan it with the camera. That's the point of QR codes, unless you have an app that I'm not aware of, which that has happened. What is buyer persona? So all of this that we talked about, we're going to be talking about the buyer's persona. So this is going to be your shopping soulmate. It's really super important to nail this fictional character down, and it represents your ideal customer. This is based off of market research and data from your current customer base. And you got to also think about the demographics, their behavior, the motivations, their goals. You are really creating an imaginary friend, your imaginary customer. But doing this helps figure out where you are going to be directing your efforts, how you're going to be saying what you're going to be saying. It's easier to think about Jill, my ideal customer, who's between the ages of 30 and 35 and absolutely loves sunflowers, and I want to sell her a sunflower dress. It's going to be easier for me to think of Jill as a person who wants to look cute on Sunday, who wants to do the family photos, versus just the plain demographics, a woman between 30 and 35. Like, that doesn't give you much. That doesn't really tell you who you're talking to, right? And this really gives you like the inside scoop for your company to structure their campaigns, which of course helps attract the best visitors, right? You don't want to invite somebody to come to your shop if they're never going to buy anything. And so this does really help fuel growth, but many companies actually don't capture this information. So persona is a fictional character, like I said, representing a group, right, with similar demographics or similar motivations. And it's audience segmenting. What we're looking at is that this information is going to then be used to identify behavioral triggers and messaging objectives, each with their own like role and persona, right? And these slides will be posted, so I know mine are very text heavy, so you'll see this. There are different ways that personas can be used beyond just social media. So social media, it's going to guide your brand's behavior. Marketing is to be like creating content and marketing strategies and ads. Sales is going to be, you need a persona so that you can understand their needs. Customer service, you want to maintain positive customer experiences. So if people tend to have the same problem, then you can create a solution and get ahead for specific client needs. So that's going to be service people. And then you can also create a negative persona. Who do you not want to sell to, right? Who is not your ideal customer? Who do you want to banish? Who do you want to say, yeah, you're never going to buy anything. Don't waste my time. I mean, don't say that, but there's 3 steps. You identify the persona's roles, list their needs and situational triggers, and then create messaging objectives. This is an example of what a few buyer personas look like. These are just generic templates that I took from the web. And then you got to remember that big data also refers to the large volume of data being generated from digital sources. So as soon as somebody goes offline, I can't track them the same way. I can't identify them the same way. If they came into my store, I don't know if they're a Jill or a Duke or a John or, I don't know, Kevin, Claudia. Like, I don't know who they are just because they walk in. I have to get to know them. I have to ask questions. I have to put on that sales. But digitally, I can. But not all platforms provide the same information. And sometimes they use different verbs. But essentially, marketers universally kind of use behavioral targeting, connection targeting, interest targeting, lookalike targeting, custom targeting, and geo-targeting. This is me explaining what all of this is. Basically, behavioral is using AI to analyze behaviors and browsing patterns. Are they more likely on Instagram to use the Instagram shop, or are they going to leave Instagram and go to the website, right? Connection targeting includes or excludes individuals connected to owned pages. I'm on Facebook and I own my company's page. I can say, well, I only want to target half of my followers because they fit my ideal persona for this ad campaign. Interest targeting, do they like sports? Do they shop at specific stores? Are they joining different conversations? Are they a gamer? All of that. Lookalike is using predictive analytics to discover the individuals with similar characteristics. So if I know that this person clicked here from this ad and then, or this social media post organically, then went to the website and made a purchase, I can create an ad campaign that says, hey, can you find more people like this? Right? I like them. They bought something. Custom targeting allows you to upload lists. So have you ever given your email to a company? Everyone should be nodding their head because they gatekeep a lot of things. And they take that email and they have the right, because you shared it with them, to add you to their marketing list, unless you specifically say don't send marketing things. But they might not send you emails. They may still take your email and send it to your social media accounts. There are new laws, but America's pretty relaxed on it. Geo-targeting is, like I said, the area, the geographic miles, blocks, state, city, country. These are a few. You can look over it on the slides if you really want, but this is just how you would say for Facebook. I'll do Facebook and LinkedIn. So Facebook users aged 55 or older who visit Facebook once a week and are members of travel interest groups, specifically interested in fall and winter packages. For LinkedIn, users in the state of Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, who mention social media marketing among their skills and may be interested in attending a conference in Chicago. So that's kind of how you create your posts, how you create your ads, how you make it more tangible, right? And you're including the why and the what. When you're launching a successful marketing campaign, you need to think about that media mix. You need to think about when you're scheduling it. Follow through with that schedule. Don't leave it in your drafts. And then monitor the feedback, right? This is an example of some generic market research, right? You can go on Google and you type best times to post on social media, and I promise you, you will get an infographic. You can use it as a starting point, but throw it away. Why I say that is, if I'm starting from zero, never done social media, I'm going to lean into these times, right? But in a year, I should be basing my times off of past history. So if you're just starting out from scratch, yes, use this. If you already have a following of 1,000 followers, like who has on their social like over 1,000? Okay, so you can go on and start looking at your analytics and start looking at when people are engaging in your content, and then maximize that time. This is another example of when people tend to look at news platforms and media consumption. These are technically different researches. Different companies did this. But it kind of shows you how things change. So for news platforms, so Facebook in 2019, 2020, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, WhatsApp, that's where they were getting their news from. Now we have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, Nextdoor, like, etc. So it can change. So you do need to pay attention, and you're solo once a year, checking, see, is this the right time? See what other people say, and then compare it with your other data. This is showing a screenshot of a blog performance, and they were trying to identify the best times to post. I really hate this screenshot, but at the same time, I really like it. This first one was posted at 2:20 a.m. and the second one was posted at 2:21. Depending on what metrics you want to focus on, the one posted at 2:20 had the most engagement because it was shown first, right? The 2:21 was kind of less engaged, but you still had comparable, but 23 likes, 13 comments versus 12 likes, 12 comments. So don't just blast and post your whole months in one day. Space it out, think about it. This is an example of a screenshot for group engagement, so popular days and popular times. When you look at your analytics, you may see something similar. Snapchat, it's all of the information. They are really great at understanding their users, but companies have such a hard time marketing on Snapchat because it's not like people can go on and follow Bloomingdale's. Companies really have a hard time, but it's also really great because you get access to all of this information. You get access to more. And this is an example of content planning. This is one of the resources in some of the assignments that I have linked. Basically, you're linking your business goal to your marketing goal, and then you're thinking about the content pillars. So is it education, sales promotion? Then I'm going to think about what the piece is. Is it for a blog post or a live event? Am I doing a Facebook post or Instagram? And then how often am I doing it? So you're going to take your who you know, who you think your target audience is, and then you're going to come up with this plan to communicate with your target audience. This is the same thing, but in a different format, and actually explaining each of these, which they feed into each other. And your goals need to be SMART, and that's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, right? And then pick the pillars, pick the cornerstone content, because you can take a long 1,200 page blog and you can have about 100 different posts depending on which sentences that you pull from that post. You can choose where you're going to put it and frequency. So there are different targeting options based off of page types and then also ads. So personal pages have limited targeting options, such as everyone and your circle, like your inner circle. Brand pages still have some targeting options as ads. So I am, give me a company. Target? Okay. So I am Target. This is my brand profile page. I can see how people are interacting with this with me. It's really cost effective because all of it's organic. It means that I'm not having to pay somebody to give me this information. People are acting on my owned brand page, Target. And then targeting brand posts can help boost your presence and engagement. While advertisers get more access, right? But it's not owned media. It's not going to stay there. People aren't going to see it forever. Once it's gone, it's gone. Going back to that Dove post, they archived it, right? They didn't just archive it from their page, but they also pulled all of the ads because that was a promotion for, I believe, a discount as well, not just using the product, but a specific sale. Targeting ads and posts on social media platforms. So understanding how ad targeting works on social media platforms can be crucial, as ads and posts, so paid and organic, share similar targeting options. And most social media platforms offer different target audience, and like Facebook can display your ad in different ways, both on your page and on somebody else's page feed. Twitter provides a wide range of options, such as event targeting, which is really like X. X is good for events, but their demographic is shifting. So you have to be mindful of that, but it can be good for market research. Improving your brand's reach with targeted posts. So YouTube allows you to target based off of custom intent, life events, and keywords. Pinterest is going to be based off of interest, keywords, and audiences. Snapchat has just all types of targeting options. Instagram, you can actually start using emojis, which will help like brands target specific people based off of emojis. And that's a really new thing. Like, it hasn't quite taken off in the marketing world. One thing that I do want to point out is TikTok is really, really, really good at giving you and feeding you content that you want to see. And it's going to be based off of your long-term engagement, which we're going to go over in the paid ads. But I did a test where most of my personal TikTok, personal for family use TikTok, you see a lot of cottagecore things, a lot of cutesy things, a lot of parenting things, and then, book things, like book talk. But I wanted to see, well, let me start searching different topics. Let me spend a little bit longer on more business posts about marketing. And within 2 weeks, what I saw had completely changed because the algorithm was like, oh, she doesn't want to see what she's seeing now. We're going to use her behavior and what she's searching as evidence of her being interested in specific things. I'm going to skip this. This is targeting on Facebook. And then this is general tips. So we're going to take a quick break. So we're going to do this exercise. This is going to be really relevant for people that are doing personal projects, but it's also relevant for your career. Let's say you absolutely love basketball. Basketball is your sport. You watch it. You watch every game. You have your favorite players, just all of that. And you know that you're going to college because we're all in college right now, right? So going to college and you're kind of interested in business and writing. So my question is, who's going to be your target market for networking? If you want to get some business jobs and you would love for it to be related to basketball, what are the professions? Come on, throw out ideas. So basketball journalism, we're going to put that in the sports journalism. Thank you, basketball journalism. Sports. That's going to kind of go in the writing, right? What else? Sportscasting. I'm going to throw that in the writing because that's you tend to do a lot more content creation. You take a little bit more notes. Sports agents. I'm going to throw that in business. Okay, so I'm going to throw that in business, right? Teaching, like being so finding the teachers, the coaches. Yeah, thank you. We'll figure out that word. Yeah. Physician. Yeah, I'm going to throw that in the business area, but that's technically a physician is more medical, right? Okay, so what about college? Are you going to reach out to anyone at your college? Other college athletes, right? Who else?
Maybe the parents of college.
Parents of college athletes. I heard something over here. College what? College coaches, college players. Come on, let's get creative. Basketball doesn't just happen, right? It's a thing. It's an industry. Sports is an industry, but basketball and football and soccer, all of them are little like micro industries as well. What other athletes, professional athletes? Mm-hmm.
We go into
Yeah, suppliers of equipment. That's you being a part of the basketball industry, right? Yeah, like maybe at Nike and you focus on their work with their marketing team. What else? Yeah, maybe you're marketing, or you work for a company that creates those supplements. Maybe like more on the business side. Yeah, like connections. People that work in the industry tend to volunteer in the industry. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'll throw a curveball at you guys, even though that's the wrong sports term. So you guys got the college right, but you missed the business majors, the journalist majors, the finance and accounting, the English. Yes, they can be basketball players, but why don't you talk to people that are having these majors? Like, yeah, you're going to talk to the athletes, but if you could pinpoint the athlete, the basketball player that has a major in business, if you can pinpoint the journalist who writes for the school's sports column, student, reach out to them. They will be able to provide you answers, provide you how they got to where they were, potentially sharing what steps to take. And all of that is going to be information. Like, you don't have to copy and paste what they're doing, but you now have more information than you did before that could help you achieve your career working in the basketball industry. Journalism writing, that was pretty clear. Sports journalists, sports content creators, authors who write books about sports. There was one woman who absolutely loved, what was the sport? I think football. They even made a movie about these old ladies, but one of them was like super into like sports romance books. But that allowed her, like the writers of those books, allowed them to be a part of the industry. Granted, they're romance books are romance books, but there's also business books about basketball, right? It doesn't have to be fantasy, it can be like about the business. For the business majors, basketball doesn't just happen. They have accountants, they have people in finance, they have people in marketing, legal, operations, right? They have facility managers. All of that, it can be thrown into the business side. It's the people that you don't see. Like, you know, the athletes, you know, the coaches, you may know the like high executives for a team, but there's so many people in the background and you can be a part of it, right? Does anyone have anything else to add to this? Okay. We're going to do another exercise, same thing, but let's say you love art. And you love fine art. So that's like more about painting, not necessarily graphic design, but you know, all of that kind of flows in together. The arts, creating visuals. And you know that you absolutely do not want to be a teacher, right? You do not want to be a high school art teacher. That's just not your calling. You already know that you hate kids, right? But you're going to go to college. You decided you're going to go to college for art, right? Who are you going to talk to at the college? And let's say you also have a semi-interest in history and business. Who are you going to talk to? Start throwing out ideas. Yeah. Museums, like museum curators and stuff. Okay, what else? Historian. People that write history books, yeah. Art history majors at college. Anthropologists. Ooh, I like that. I'm gonna have to add that to my slide next time. What else? Illustrators. Work for an agency, maybe. Or you could start your agency. Doing art sales for your own, selling your own art, right? What else? Huh? Consultants? Yeah, yeah. Okay. Marketing is an easy, yeah. Marketing would be something where you can take your creative energy and work in a marketing team. Art and finance surprisingly go together, but it's in a weird way. Art and mathematics and data and all that, there is actually a relationship between them. What else can we do? Who can we talk to? We want to be a part of the art world. We don't want to be a teacher. Tourism? Oh, that's a new one. Oh, I like that. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I'm gonna have to add so many more. Um, so this is what I came up with, right? I know I'm gonna talk to business majors, history majors, art majors. I'm gonna talk to museum curators, the marketing team at the museum. Maybe I'm gonna talk to the accountants and the finance team in the museum. The museum doesn't just happen. They have to They also have a sales team trying to get donations. That's part of the fundraising team, but that's sales, right? Because all you know is like, I want to be a part of the world. Not necessarily, you don't necessarily need to be the one that's painting, although that would be great, right? Um, but being a part of it feeds your soul as well. You could, on the business side, you could work as a freelance designer or artist, right? Sell your own stuff. You could do maybe fashion. Maybe you have a painting, you get a digital image of that, and you send it to a t-shirt maker and they put it on the t-shirt, right? Or you paint on upcycling clothes with your art. Interior design was another one that I thought of. And then, of course, art dealers. So art dealers and museums have a lot in common. There's a lot of overlap, but it's definitely more selling individual pieces versus selling the consistent access to the museum from donors, right? There are also like coordinators as well. So there is a lot more than just the initial response of museum. I think that was the first response that we got, which is great response, but it can go so much more deeper, right? And you can, after talking and interviewing with these different types of people who work in the industry or studying in the major, you can learn more about what you want to do, or more importantly, what you don't want to do, right? And that can be so impactful for your future decisions. And you can use social media to expand your network and also share your own personal research of interviewing with these people. Currently, I have been interviewing other professionals, so social media marketers specifically for this class, and have done one-on-one interviews and then turned around and I'm posting it on YouTube so that I can share that knowledge with you guys, because typically people that go into social media marketing have very unique journeys. It just doesn't, nobody has a cut and paste. It's not like being a doctor where you go to pre-med and then medical school, then you do your residency and then you're a doctor, right? And that's the thing, is life isn't quite that clear cut. Like, it happens. I didn't expect to be standing in front of you guys when I first decided I was going to major in marketing. I wanted to work for the Estee Lauder companies because I was working for them, but I was a makeup artist. So, but I chose my major in marketing because I saw the business side of it. I saw the creativity. And this is where I'm going to pull in the art and analytics and data and finance and accounting, why sometimes those may be the right pairing. And that's because when you're creating an art piece, you are subconsciously analyzing what you're doing, how you're doing, what you're doing. And math can be really creative, especially when you're having to problem solve. But if you want to, I won't ramble too much about that because I can ramble quite a bit. Is there anything else we want to add to this that we didn't already talk about that isn't on the slide? We have a little bit more time? Can somebody share a passion that they have and we can break it down? You have a passion. I love it. Okay, psychology. Oh, I love that. So you like psychology. Do you have a secondary interest?
Opposites for graphic design.
They're not opposites. Oh no, they can go hand in hand. So you like graphic design specifically, right? And you like psychology. Well, of course, you're going to talk to the graphic design majors and the fine arts majors, and you're going to talk to the psychology students. Who else should she talk to who's already working in the career? Therapists, yeah. There's also art therapists. Therapists use art to help their patients, right? So you could even literally combine them into two, right? What are other ways?
Psychologists that study how.
Yeah. Yeah, that the psychology of like looking at a design, looking at an ad. I personally am considering doing a PhD in psychology. I'm debating between PhD in business or PhD in psychology because they go hand in hand. I also have graphic design skills. I like to do graphic design. If you talk to my graphic design friends and ask them to critique my stuff, they're going to be like, "You're not a graphic designer," and I'll be like, "But I want to be a part of your world," and that's how I'm being a part of the world, is by doing my little cutesy Canva stuff, right? What are other? So you can combine the love of psychology with graphic design. You could pursue potentially a career in marketing with that specific focus. Like I'm going to do branding, which means I need to understand the psychology of the target audience. I need to also understand how your visuals influence people's opinions of you or of the company, right? There's a lot of opportunities to combine those two loves, both separately, indirectly, as well as directly. Does anyone else have a special interest that they would like to, or that is like, let's go. Yeah.
I was gonna say
Comics. Oh, I love the comic book industry. Okay, so comics, specifically creating them, like the artistic side of it, or just, is there anything that you like? Okay, creating, the creation part. All right. So there's of course the business side of comics, promoting and selling, right? So you can work with other comic book artists. You can work with comic book publishers, right? As you yourself are pursuing your creation. I'm assuming you're going to create a comic book, right? So you can help other people create theirs, and you can learn from their mistakes so that when you're ready to publish, it's like, oh, bam, you're there. The comic book industry, when I go to Comic-Con, I typically don't go to the main panels where I get to see sneak previews. I go to the business panels where we talk about publication, where we talk about crowdfunding, right? Where we talk about continuing to network, what resources. And then you also have in the comic book industry, besides just the artists, but you have the people that are designing apps like what's it called, Webtoon. I had it downloaded on my phone for a while, but that app allows comic book artists to share their content. That company doesn't just happen; it's not just poof there. Maybe you need, maybe there's opportunities to do the more and find opportunities to work at the company as an accountant or as a computer programmer. If you have an interest in computer programming, if you're like, I could do that. There's so much more, and you can really break it down and find people that can help you and advocate for you in your career. And once you identify them and you create their little personas, it's so much easier to find them, especially on LinkedIn, because people put their professions, they put where they work, they put their skill sets. You can find them by searching that.